the Freedom of Information Act, all sorts of the testimony so that they can know what exactly was said. So maybe if she's not successful, then in turn, the local newspaper out there can find out what she told people about this thing.
Well, we're certainly hoping so. I mean, this seems like a basic issue of common sense and transparency. The American people have a right to know. The IRS has admitted that they were targeting American citizens for their political points of view. Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, said that this is outrageous and shouldn't be allowed to happen. The IRS owes the American people an apology. More important than an apology to me is just the knowledge of what actually happened. We know some of the details, but obviously Lois Lerner is still hiding a lot more of them.
Mark, didn't you think that because of the things he had said out on the campaign
trail, you listen to this guy, who's a good guy, on Fox Today, about whether or not the IRS, was targeting people politically because they know that they admitted it. They did this to me in 1988, 89. My accountant had all he could do from keeping me to kill him. And they sent Treasury dicks to my house. Okay, that was 1989 ago, and I have witnesses. And the person doing the audit on me told my accountant, who doesn't think like me politically at all, trust me, she had it in for me. Okay, and 30 years later, we're acting like this isn't some epiphany? That this is like shocking. Fuck you. This isn't shocking. This is what these bastards do. This is why the IRS, which is constitutionally anathema and illegal, should have been busted up before it ever got going, much less 40 years later or 100 years later. These pricks are out of control. And where this goes is manifest evidence to what they've always been. I'm going to ask you something. This guy just said, I'm not in favor of people harassing government workers. Fuck government workers. When they betray their trust and go after American people, they're the first ones that should go on our national hit list. I don't give a fuck about a bunch of goat fuckers in Iraq, Afghanistan, all those chickens that came home to roost on 9/11. That's our government meddling. And whether it's for oil or camel dung, I don't care. It's as if our government designed that destruction on 9/11. I don't have any wonder as to why there's so many conspiracy theories. And all these years later, the dumbfounded American press, the illegality of affirmative action, class warfare, race warfare, and then the IRS going after Christian Goyim. That's what it was. 501c Christian groups. And some of you Christians out there need a slap. Oh, you're not supposed to challenge your government. Hey, I'll tell you what. Go meditate in the desert. I don't want to hear that shit. This is America. We were founded for taxation tyranny, above all things. The Boston Tea Party, where they dressed up like Indians. Nobody ever teaches you why. It was because the British Crown said, we need to raise a sin tax on tea, tobacco, alcohol, and playing cards to pay for the redcoats that are protecting you from Indians. So the patriots dressed up like Indians, threw the tea off the ships in the harbor, and told King George, I got your Indians right here. And let me tell you something. I don't necessarily side with them on that. Because Britain was in a depression. And they had no money to be sending those soldiers here. Like we don't in Afghanistan. So again, the chickens come home to roost. But I'll tell you this, taxation without representation was a real cry. And here we are letting these rats in the IRS discriminately go after anybody they whimsically want to attack. So I'm going to say it again. Tend your garden first. Tend your own home first. Stay out of foreign entanglements. That was Washington. So when some limp dick douchebag says, oh, we shouldn't have people go after people that work for our government, those are the first ones you hang. The greatest traitor in history sat at the table with Christ. He wasn't an outsider. 90% of homicides are committed by people either in the family or relatively close to the victim. Strangers don't do a whole lot of murdering to most people. It's relationships. It's people in your chicken coop. We're always looking for outside weasels and not the chickens among us. If Lois Lerner and Mark Schulman aren't tarred, feathered, and hung, this country has no justice prudence. And I'm going to say it again. The high altar of American justice prudence begins and ends with taxation fairness and government responsibility to the people. Everything else is a cartoon after those things.